I was in Saratoga, so I was like, whoa, really? Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Is the traffic bad?
Well, no, it wasn't too bad, actually. It took a little longer to settle my dad and do all that, so than I anticipated. So, but it's all good.
I didn't know if that was essential or not. Okay, I'd like to call to order the Conservation Advisory Council for the town of Niskayuna. This is the August 2nd meeting, 2023. And Laura, would you call the roll, please?
So I have Ellen Daviero and Chairman Strayer in person, and Vicki Michaela is joining us virtually along with Clark Henry.
Okay, great. So in our packet we have the July 5th meeting notes. I don't know if anybody had any corrections or comments on them.
I did not see any.
Go ahead, Vicki.
I just had one, and that is the spelling of my last name is incorrect.
Yeah, we can get that fixed.
Absolutely. Sorry about that, Vicki.
Yeah, no worries.
And Ellen, you didn't see anything?
Yeah.
All right, I make a motion we adopt the minutes. Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor say aye.
Yeah, with the correction first.
Yes, of course, with the correction.
Yeah.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay, Laura, do we have anybody privilege of the floor that would like to speak?
Oh, let me just double check. I didn't get anything right before I left. No request for privilege of the floor tonight.
Okay, we have no EIF assessment forms to review tonight, so let's move to reports. So, Laura, you included a seeker pamphlet in our packet. Would you like to talk to that for a second?
Yeah, if I can bring it up, I will. But while I'm working on that, what I did was I was trying to find very concise seeker information just to share with you guys. I know we've been doing a lot of different functions of seeker lately, so I thought it might be helpful to have a couple of different. They're just two-sided pages. One is like for the public and what you could expect from public engagement for seeker. One is for the local municipal official, which might be the most useful to us. And then the last one is just a really good flow chart with seeker timelines in it. It's from the Seeker Cookbook, which is my favorite document, but I didn't put that in there because that is like 24 pages long, and this is only 2 because I'm trying to, just help.
But the cookbook's online. If you're interested, you can just Google Seeker Cookbook and it comes up.
That's correct. And the cookbook essentially steps you through each piece of that flow chart, page by page, which is very nice. I like to use the cookbook for a lot of things, and even though it looks old, it was last updated in 2019, so it's still very relevant. It just, the cartoons look like they're from the 80s, which I think they are. But, yeah, I know we're pretty light on humans tonight, but if anybody had any questions on them, I'm happy to answer anything.
So I guess my question is that I mean, because it says then within 30 up to 30 days, establish lead agency, determine so we're at that
For the Mohawk Golf Club?
Yes. That's the only one that we're doing
a positive deck for.
A positive deck.
Correct.
So
yeah, so we established the lead agency actually early on, which was the town board.
Okay.
And then they did their seeker determination the end of June, I believe.
Okay, and that was the list that we.
Yeah, they pretty much took everything that we recommended and adopted it, which is nice.
And then up to 60 days, the scoping part.
So yeah, Clark and I originally looked at that timeline, and we're like, we have 60 days. But actually, if you go into the Seeker Cookbook, it's a little more explicit, and it actually gives us 60 days once the draft scope has been submitted to us.
Okay.
So there is no timeline for the submittal of a scope. And the 60 days is essentially a good amount of time. Once the draft scope has been submitted to us, it allows us to share it with the public. We can do a public hearing on the draft scope and make sure that we're happy with what the draft scope says before we move on to the next step. So that 60 days is afforded to us to make the draft scope into what we would want it to be. But there is no timeline for submittals, and that was something that we learned in the process.
Okay, and the draft scoping is coming from
The applicant. Correct.
Okay.
We don't mind helping them. We said that we would be happy to reach out and give them information and get them to understand what we're trying to really dive into and wanna explore with the environmental impact statement. But so far, they wanted us to send them all of the environmental impact statements, and then they said they would get back to us, and we haven't heard. Yeah.
Back from them. Okay, so they have all the information. Okay, so we're just waiting on that.
Yeah, correct. So actually, right now, the ball is in their court.
Okay.
And I did finally get it up on my computer if anybody would like me to share any of the pages. I can.
I mean, I read through this, but I guess it's, you don't know till you've done one. So this is my first one. So, I mean, I've read this information and I don't think I have any questions, but yeah.
Each step is kind of a new journey.
Yeah, so.
Yes.
Yeah, there are some references online from New York State. If you type that, Ellen, there's actually a fair amount of stuff out there.
Yeah.
And some of it is probably extremely detailed where people are parsing legal decisions.
Yes.
But there's a lot of useful information out there that I've looked at over the years. Okay. If we have no other discussion items, maybe, Laura, everybody has it. Maybe at the next meeting, if more questions come up, we can sort of answer them as well.
I can follow up from this meeting and just send the guides out and just say, read them over and then bring some questions for the next meeting. Yeah, okay. I can do that.
Good. Okay, we have a number of items, and I'm just going to read them off. I'm not sure we need to discuss every item, but when we need to discuss one, we'll discuss it. So, Bethlehem Conservation Easement Program, Ashok gave us a review of that 2 meetings ago, I believe, and we sort of asked them to look into some additional stuff. So
that one is on pause. Ashok and Chelsea said they would get together and do a fact sheet for us that we'd be able to bring to the Economic Development Committee. That is something that we will have to ask our legislator to bring to the New York legislature for us. So what we want is Ashok and Chelsea to come up with a fact sheet, get the town board on board, and then have the town board to reach out to our legislator on that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, natural resource inventory. I don't know. I can't remember if we discussed that at the last meeting or not, but we got the grant. So
they gave us the heads up that it should be coming. I haven't actually gotten any paperwork for it yet.
Okay.
But the heads up was that it's coming. So.
Excellent. Good.
Yeah.
Have we reached out to Jim at all?
No, because I think we just want to make sure that that we get the contract and that everything's in place. Yeah. Because that one's bigger, we may end up having to bid it. We'll just see when that comes in.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's quite a bit bigger than the first one that we did.
Yeah. Okay. Pesticide outreach update.
So just not this past Saturday, but the last 2 Saturdays in a row, I was at the farmers market with a table. So I did pesticide, I did the LOMO, I did the natural resource inventory. I talked about that. Quiet Niskayuna, actually, Vicki joined me the one weekend to one Saturday morning. And we talked about that, and we talked about the composting initiative. So the next, we signed some people up for the pesticide outreach and just tried to talk with our neighbors about reaching them and trying to just let them know that using pesticides is not healthy for the environment, and that if you have a company that you are using, to ask them what pesticides they're actually using and why. So you should know that, and then from there take those steps to try to use less, and to seek alternatives. And obviously, if you don't ask the the person who's treating your lawn, then nothing will happen. I did work with Trisha from the planning department, and we were able to get up all of the composting initiative information from so we have the 2 videos. We have the composting pledge, and we have the composting information, and also the flyer from Kayla from Cornell Cooperative Extension. And then the other thing that we did is we created a QR code. So now the CAC has a QR code that can just be scanned, and then that will bring you right to the CAC's information.
Oh, excellent.
At first, I was just trying to do. I thought I was just going to link it to like the composting, but I decided that it would just be better if it went straight to the CAC, because then when they get there, they can see the natural resources, they can see all of these things, and then they can choose what they want to, what they would like to look at.
Oh yeah, no, that's a really great idea.
So, especially because when I was at the farmers markets trying to help people get to the CAC's site on the website is challenging. It's multiple steps. So the QR code is excellent. I believe that eventually, or it's in the works, the town is getting a new website design. So when that happens, we'll have to update the QR code. But until then, we will have the QR code, and I can send it around to everybody.
No, that would be really
so
good.
that everyone can have it. And I do have a meeting in September with Ray Smith and with Supervisor Jeannie Puccinelli to talk about establishing a place at the transfer station for people who want to compost but don't want to compost at their home. So we're having a meeting in September.
And this is food waste.
Yeah, composting.
Yeah,
yes.
composting.
So you'll compost at your home, and then you'll bring it to this drop-off. And Kayla from Cornell Cooperative Extension has opened up, I would say, 5 or 6 of them throughout Schenectady County. So, and they've been up and running for quite a bit of time now. And I actually met some people at the farmers market, and I have some friends who are ready to sign on the dotted line and join it. So I'm excited to get that part.
Good. Now, how does that work? Do they buy paper bags at the store?
So no. So I would prefer no. I would prefer that we establish a. So I'd like to follow what. I mean, it'll be up to the person to decide who, each individual. But at Grow Amsterdam, they use, like the 5-gallon buckets from Home Depot, or they use the oversized large kitty litter that have the click. They have 2 lids, and basically you just shred some newspaper. You throw that in there, and then you put your compost in there for that week, and then you bring that, and then you dump that into the compost.
Okay.
And then that's how it gets broken down. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there'll be a problem if they chose to use brown paper bags, but
I think part of the concern is some of those bags actually have like a liner in them. That's not,
yes.
So they sell recycling bags, but some of them have a liner in them, and I don't know if that's
so
really what we're gonna do.
I kind of wanted to stay away from that. I would really like to just use like shredded newspaper and or cardboard or some from your eggs or something, and then like shred that in there to help with the brown material, and then we'll have a process to follow at the composting site. So
Good.
yeah.
I just wanted to note that the live stream sound isn't working, but I have the video recorder, and Seth will try and sync it up tomorrow. we did our best.
So
everything will still be recorded and I'll be fine. Just the live stream. The live stream video is working, just not the sound.
Oh, okay.
And I have the sound here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can Vicky hear us? Yeah, she can hear us. Okay.
I hear you.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Vicki, did you want to say anything about Quiet Niskayuna?
I don't have that much to report. We're scheduled for this Saturday at the farmers market and then a Saturday in September. I did send Laura the link to our website and a copy of our flyer, and I did present to that Economic Development, Environmental Conservation, what's the name?
And historic preservation. Yeah, that was really
that's
good.
pretty good. I never get it right.
Anyway, I presented on it, and I think we got a good reception. So
Good.
that's about it.
All right, I will send you the just a QR code for the CAC's website as well, so you'll have that for Saturday.
Great.
And we should probably put some of the stuff on the CAC website.
It is.
It is. Okay.
For
I didn't know if
composting.
Did we got the brochure up there?
I actually spent quite a lot of time talking about Quiet Niskayuna at the last meeting, and what I want to try and do is have them move forward a resolution at
So
this next
we don't want to
meeting.
put it out there until we get a resolution.
Right, so that we have the support of the town
Okay,
board, and then
that's
we
fine.
can put it on our.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
in case they want to see some of the other things that the
Oh,
CAC
yeah,
is
yeah.
doing,
No, that's good.
they can just scan that.
One of the things, we sort of jumped around a little bit, I'd like to come back to low mow because I think I have been noticing that there have been people that are purposely not mowing part of their yard, keep it forever wild, and I'm perfectly fine with that, but I'm wondering if we need to have some guidelines for that or some official policy in the town with that. We should probably look at that because technically they're out of code.
We have had some back and forth with property owners who are saying that they want to maintain their lawn or sort of let it go back to being wild.
Mhm.
And I know that in not every instance, but in most instances, the building inspectors feel the code is satisfied when they at least mow like around the driveways and like on the corridors. But if they leave a patch, they typically haven't been cited. But it does depend, and some clarity in the code would not be a bad thing.
Yeah.
And we discussed that a little bit at the last meeting, whereas I'm not sure that like we just allow a wholesale exemption in May. I think it would be better to really examine codes that promote pollinator habitat all year long and see if that's something that we can do.
I think we should look at it because I think we want to encourage this, but at the same time we want to make sure that the town keeps up with this as far as the code mechanics.
Yeah. And see, like, I know when Vicky shared the flyer with me, I was looking at what other towns had done for quiet initiatives, and there's quite a bit out there in Long Island, and was it Westchester? Yeah, I think it was Westchester. And so there may also be some lawn codes that we could just look at, like, we could just look and see, what's out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the fall, that might be something we could look at.
Clark, did you already send us the code from I thought you sent us the actual code from the Niskayuna for us to look at for the Lomo. Am I mistaken?
No, I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we got that.
And doesn't have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did send it.
Okay. And I don't think that's my strong suit, so that's why I haven't said I was going to do it. So that's why I think we just need somebody from our committee to attach their name to it and to get it done and to look at it and to.
Yeah, if I have some time, I'll try to look at it before the next meeting.
Okay.
And I'll see if there's something we can do. But I think we should not reinvent the wheel. I think we should just go out and look.
My guess is if there's some good model codes out there that have been successfully implemented for a year or two, that we will probably have support, would be my guess.
Yeah, what I just see is I see a trend where people are actually like really trying to be good stewards for the insects
For the
and
pollinators,
stuff,
yeah, I
and the
agree.
pollinators, and I just want to make sure that we encourage it. That's
Mm-hmm.
all.
So I do have a question though, because I know that we were reaching out to the two businesses on
Memento and
yeah.
GE.
So Momentum and GE, but so that those were in my. So where are we with that?
I think Ashok was reaching
Yeah,
out to
Ashok was
GE
gonna
because
reach out to them.
Ashok had a GE contact, so
Okay.
Ashok initiatives are on hold for 2 months.
Okay.
And
I reached out to Momentum a couple times. The gentleman that I was talking to was going to bring it to their board, but he hasn't gotten back to us. Since then, Laura and I have met another person at Momentum that I'll bounce it off of.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. If you need any help, just let me know. I'm happy
Sure,
to
okay.
knock on a door.
Okay, it looks like we've had all the items except for number 7, Climate Smart Community Task Force.
Yeah, so I have this on here. We just submitted for another Climate Smart grant, and this was to install sidewalks. Hopefully the idea is that if you make it easier to get to high destinations like schools, that you will remove vehicle trips from the roads and then thereby reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And Capital District has a community greenhouse gas inventory, and vehicle emissions, I believe, are the highest greenhouse gas emissions for our community. So targeting ways to reduce the vehicle trips should be very important. And so we submitted that grant, but while I was going through that grant, a lot of it talks about what your Climate Smart Communities Task Force is doing. The town, in general, is following all of the Climate Smart Task Force things that you could possibly follow. Like, Ellen has been doing the composting, which is right in there. Like, I think, Ashok has been doing the Natural Resources Inventory, which is right in there. Like, but the CAC is the one that's doing all of the Climate Smart Communities. And so I don't know if you guys would object, since you're doing it already, if for me to kind of move the designation of the Climate Smart Communities Task Force to the CAC. So I literally just be CAC/Climate Smart Communities Task Force, because I am actually not able to get those members together to meet.
Okay, I was going to ask that.
Very almost none. The people who are carrying on the work of the Climate Smart Communities Task Force are kind of spread out between Tree Council and Conservation Advisory Council.
Okay. I personally don't have any objection with that.
Okay.
I just want to make
grants.
sure that, if people are involved in that and they're passionate, that they're, we hook them in somehow. Maybe.
So if we could get some passionate ones, I think they could be a subcommittee that meets again at their own time.
Yeah.
But I think for grants, I need to show that a committee is regularly convening. So if I attach the Climate Smart Communities Task Force to the CAC,
yeah, that's right.
and then they could do a subcommittee if we got some really passionate people.
Yeah, and if that's just not there, then we can.
Well, I
certainly
mean,
take
you
it
guys
up.
are honestly doing the work anyway, like
Yeah.
the composting and the Quiet Niskayuna and the Lomo and the natural resources, and even I actually talked to Georgia today about the corridors.
Mm-hmm.
She and I are hopefully going to meet and come up with ways actually to connect what we can identify for corridors in Niskayuna to the surrounding communities, and see if we can come up with actually an overarching thing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, everything we do really counts.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
And then I still need to get the RFP out to do the GHG inventory and the climate action plan. And then I think, short of, other volunteers, I'd probably just have the consultant who's doing that present to you guys.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What's a GHG?
Oh, it's a greenhouse gas inventory.
Greenhouse.
So that's for the government, and essentially a consultant comes in and will look at every single source of emissions for town of Niskayuna, and then give us that inventory, and and suggestions for essentially that's just an inventory, and it's good for benchmarking and seeing if you're reducing your greenhouse gases. And then the climate action plan, they take that inventory and then they come up with a plan for reducing the greenhouse gas emissions specific to Niskayuna. Both those two things are specific to the government, but because government is a pretty big entity, it does end up being pretty significant if you can get them to reduce their greenhouse gas
So is
emissions.
that, what's the scope is that? Is that just the government scope for the town, or is it broader than that? It's the communities,
So
the
we
businesses?
We actually have two. Our grant allowed the funding of two. One very specific to Niskayuna, which is very detailed and data driven, and then a community one for Niskayuna, which will look at schools and our own number of vehicle trips and stuff.
So that would look at like a
The
traffic
community
consultant.
one is kind of an estimate. They use tools and they use census data and they use a variety of like higher level data to make estimates that they drill down into Niskayuna. The government one will be based on literally like driving receipts and stuff like that. Yeah. But they're both really useful because the community one helps you reach out to schools and bigger businesses. And it's likely, for instance, if the capital region's larger greenhouse gas community inventory shows that vehicle trips are like the number one source, it's likely that that's true for Niskayuna as well. But we don't really know because we could have something different, like, I don't know, GE's power plant is like, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
So-
there could be something, yeah.
So, can I just have, I don't know if this falls into any of those categories or what it is, but I just have some just general questions, right outside, town hall, we have the solar panels, right? So are those the only solar panels that the town of Niskayuna has?
No.
And, okay. And we have a whole field someplace that I don't know about?
We actually we have just about the same amount as out there at our highway department.
Okay.
And then we do actually have a whole field at our wastewater treatment plant.
Okay, all right. And then do we have, I'm just like thinking of our community, so when they do that, do they take into account all of the homes that in Niskayuna that already have solar panels in there? Or-
I'm not 100% sure because a greenhouse gas inventory is going to be looking at what's emitting greenhouse gases. So
Not what's, okay.
it may be that installing solar panels would be another way to reduce greenhouse gas emissions for your home or offset them anyway. But I think the inventory in it itself is probably not going to but I haven't done one, so I couldn't say for sure.
Okay, and then my last question that has kind of been in the back of my head is, Niskayuna School District. So they have that really big parking, the garage
On Hillside.
on Hillside. So is there any link between us and them with putting solar panels on that to try to power their electric buses that they have to have by 2025 or 2026?
So I actually think the community greenhouse gas inventory is a really good way to open up that conversation with them.
Okay.
Because even though it's kind of an estimate, it's going to estimate what amount of greenhouse gases are being emitted by that sector.
Okay.
And so that's a really good way to do outreach, especially because every time I have a conversation with the school, they have been receptive to adding sidewalks and receptive to doing these things, but they definitely are like, we'll bring our connection out if you bring your connection.
Oh.
So I think it'd be really helpful if we were like, here's the community one, here's the town one, here's what we're doing, here's what you could do.
Right.
And then,
I have myself gone, it's, I have to say since COVID, I haven't been back to a
school
board meeting, but every time they bring up, I always have asked them to purchase electric school buses for, years before that. I'm asking them just to get one, but now, push has come to shove, so hopefully but anyways.
there's a lot of grants out there for electric school buses.
There are,
too.
yes. So when I first
So
went to
many.
them, when I first went with this, they were only giving grants to larger community, like larger school districts like Schenectady and Amsterdam and stuff like that. But now the last couple of years they've been for everybody. And they have one that's coming up.
They're like rebate grants. Like you buy a bus for $40,000 and you'll get a rebate for $35,000. I mean, they're really good.
Yeah. So I will again go. I'll go up because that's coming up. It's always like very soon after school starts. So okay.
I think if they have a requirement, I think it's a pretty strong case to put solar panels.
Yes, but they did not buy one this year, so they have haven't bought one yet.
No.
So, anyways,
But I do think that part of. Oh, go ahead, Vicky.
Sorry. No, I'm wondering, if you mentioned that there are people on the CAC and the Tree Council, that are involved in some of these initiatives that would build the climate smart communities goals. I'm wondering if there should be like one point person to sort of collect all of the information and coordinate.
Well, actually, there is supposed to be one. It's the Climate Smart Communities Task Force Coordinator. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, we do have to designate a coordinator. Our current coordinator is Daryl Bray, but I have not heard from him in a while, so I'd have to see if he still wanted to do that.
perhaps you'd like to join the CAC.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
we could probably
because we
use
could
them.
use the member, and then they're not at their own task force; they can just report to this one, and yeah, that might make a lot of sense. Yeah, maybe I'll ask him. I think that could really work.
Okay. Do we have any other business before the committee?
No, I just wanted to follow up that I think that the community GHG inventory is a really good outreach tool. I think because it's an estimate, it ends up being a better outreach tool than an actual data-driven thing. So hopefully that'll help us outreach to a bunch of different places.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Okay.
Vicki, did you have any topics you wanted to talk that we haven't discussed already?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, then I would. Does someone want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I can make a motion to adjourn the meeting for August 2nd, 2023.
Okay, Vicki, do you want to second that?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.